Okay, we're powered up and ready to actually roll. We have at least one other rider out here somewhere with me. So let's make it happen.
Beautiful Saturday morning, about 70 degrees. We start at the parking lot with about 981 feet of elevation as we go through the gate. Okay, right about here we're turning off sound because the road noise and wind noise is horrific. But I will be narrating. The little trail on the right is a cut over to the stables. We are fast approaching the first right-hand turn, which drops us into a wash. Coming out of the wash, we'll pass the Butterfield trail, which we will return. It's on the left. For the doubters out there, you can see my legs are moving pretty good in my shadow. If you're wondering, we are kicking it along this area between 15 and 18 miles per hour. We're dropping into this wash here, which again, the camera really doesn't do it justice. Just ahead, this large opening is like an old-time parking lot. There's horse rails. They do events out here, I think. We're at 1,093 feet, so we gained 112 feet, and it's about 1.1 miles back from the front gate. When we pass these barricades, the big gravel road turns into a jeep trail and degrades and climbs. You notice I stopped there for a moment. I did a quick safety check on the bike and checked the camera. This first section runs about a quarter mile and intersects with Dysart Trail, which we'll cover some other time. If you look on the left, you'll see the marker for Dysart. It actually goes both ways. We have reached what I consider the beginning of the serious trail. It's still a jeep trail, but we are starting our climb. Loose, sandy, rocky soil. When we get to the hills up there, we will start climbing up and down in bigger rocks. I've been over this trail on my acoustic bike, but I've had to push it. This trail is harder than it looks.
Okay. Just totally spun out trying to climb this little hill. More speed. for more gears. Only about 8 feet from getting out of it. Okay, back to the top here. We're headed for those cactus over there.
We have reached the highest point on the trail at 1,325 feet. That's a 232-foot climb from the. Don't know if you can see the dove on top of the cactus on the right, picking at the blossoms. We are coming up on the Gadsden Trail. It is 3 miles in, elevation of 1,240 feet, so we have dropped 85 feet from the summit. Okay, as we turn onto this trail, it is either the Peterson or Gadsden. If you look at the map, Peterson to the right is in a half mile, but it's also behind us. Gadsden is ahead of us and also behind us. So I think these two trails share this little stretch. Mostly little ups and downs. Put red around the Peterson markings, green around the Gadsden, and blue on the trail. And as we get through this little rough section and swing to the right, up ahead you can see the Peterson Trail going off on the right. That goes way back into the park. If you look real close on the left side of the trail, you'll see heavy tread marks. We're speeding up the next section of this trail to get to the next points of interest. We are coming up on a bicycle going the other way, and shortly behind them we're coming up on a runner. We enter a big wash. We will jump in and out of this thing several times. Our first exit is up a steep little hill. You'll see a signpost on the left. At the top of this hill is the trail called Butterfield, hanging a hard left. We're not taking that. We're going right and onward. Going to speed it up a little bit, not as much as the first time. I stopped here for a moment to look around. I took a couple stills. Let me give you a quick pan around to show you what I'm seeing. Behind me, those are the Estrellas, pretty much the end towards Phoenix. Okay, let's get on the move again. Okay, here is where we enter the big wash again. We will continue this a couple, 2, 3, or even 4 times. I was wrong. We actually crossed it 6 times in this section. You actually need a little bit of power to climb out of these washes. We're heading into a hard right and then a hard left, some hairpins. We're dropping into the big gully. This descent was a little trickier than the video shows. I am not real good on hairpin turns. The trail in here is climbing a hill. It would be work. It is work, even with my bike I've got. This little group of rocks were right in the middle of a U-turn. They spooked me. I had to get off and push the bike through. Better safe than sorry. We're probably 4 to 5 miles from the car right here. We're coming to the crest of the little hill. We're going to drop over the edge and we're headed back on the homeward stretch. We will come up on the Desert Rose Trail on the right, and from there it's right at 3 miles to the car. Trail on the right, Desert Rose, about 3 miles to the Phoenix International Raceway up that trail. After the Desert Rose, we hit this big gully. It's the same one we've been crossing back and forth. The cliffs are about 20, 30 feet straight up and down. You drop in, hard left, and have to climb out the other side. There are more gullies to come, like this, and one more ridge that we have to climb over to get back to the Butterfield Trail. Here is another gully past Desert Rose. I believe this is number 3. Right here, we actually start climbing up the ridge that we're going to cross over. Then we drop back into the other side where we can actually start seeing houses and the rodeo grounds. Over the ridge and downhill, we'll make a switchback to the right up here. We'll climb a little bit, then we'll drop and do the exact same thing all over. A little ways further on, and you betcha, another gully to get down into and out of.
Coming into another big gully.
I think that is number 5 if you're counting. I left the sound on just in case you wanted to know why, or forgot why I turned the sound off.
Yes, I'm pedaling.
The trail markers tell you that these trails are closed left and right. Looks like we have another gully. I think that's number 6. The cactus left and right mark about 1.5 miles to the car. We're approaching the Butterfield Trail. We'll take a right. That'll leave us about a mile and a tenth to the car. So trail number 3. Turning onto Butterfield, we climb a little bit, then we drop, then we'll climb a little bit more, then we drop a little bit more, a little steeper, and the second drop has a little ledge that might be a foot that you drop off of. We're coming into the bigger drop. You'll see where I shift and bump. When we make this crest, and we will go into the last downhill stretch all the way back to Coldwater. When we hit the Coldwater Trail, it's about 2 or 3/10 to the car. Okay, we're going to drop into a wash and go left, and we will see the junction of Butterfield and Coldwater Trail ahead. Going to turn right and proceed towards the truck. Back on Coldwater, we crossed the first big gully that we rode into on the Coldwater episode. Climb out of that. Pretty much a straight shot now back to the truck, although there is a little up and down. And there's the gate ahead. This is the end of this trail ride. It's taken about 58 minutes, and I will post the All Trails Pro statistics at the end. Until we see you out in the trails, have fun riding and be safe. Okay, this shows a length of 9.2 miles, elevation of 604 feet, moving time of 50 minutes 18 seconds, average speed 10.93 miles per hour, calories 880, but it thinks I'm on an acoustic bike, and total time on the trail 58 minutes and 51 seconds.